Hey, what's going on, guys? UFC Vegas 89, Amanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight in what was the most incredible fight night card I've ever seen. The main event, absolute war, two straight-up warriors, but we'll talk about that later in the video. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, we have Mohammed Usman versus Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin gets it done via decision. The first round I did not see. I started my stream up. It was already the second round. I don't know what was going on. I didn't have time to go back and watch the first round. But it seemed like the general consensus was Mohammed Usman landed the bigger shots in the first round. In the second round, the odds popped up. Usman was negative 300. And then Usman in the second and third round did close to nothing. The second round, he was landing some okay right hands and some jabs, but Mick Parkin was bodying the leg. Leg kicks over and over and over again and landed some shots on the feet. So I gave Mick Parkin round 2 with the leg kicks. And then round 3, it was the same thing. Parkin was just a little bit more aggressive. Mohammed Usman gave away the fight. He never shot a single takedown the entire fight, unless he shot one in the first round. Didn't seem like he had any grappling. They were talking about, oh, he didn't shoot at all in this fight. Jamal Pogues was controlling Mick Parkin up against the fence, and Mo Usman decided not to even try. So the third round, honestly, I thought it could have go either way. I thought it could have went either way, but I gave 2 and 3 to Parkin. So it doesn't matter what happened in the first round. I didn't go back and rewatch the first round. 2 and 3, Parkin got it done. No aggression, no fight IQ from Usman, and Mick Parkin gets it done. Moving up on the card, we have Igor Severino versus André Lima. Severino literally bit Lima while grabbing his nutsack, while grabbing his cock and balls, and got DQ'd. So you have Severino losing via DQ and being cut from the roster. Now, how was the fight going up until that point? First round was pretty crazy. This fight kind of went down almost exactly how I anticipated in terms of how skill for skill it was playing out. Severino was super aggressive, looking for takedowns. Lima was clearly the more technical striker. He got taken down early, but got back up. Lima ended up rocking him with a standing elbow, and then looked for a guillotine, got taken down, or went to his back for the guillotine. Severino got out of it. Then he looked for an omoplata, eventually got back up. There were some good scrambles. And then the second round, Lima was just landing the better shots. And then Severino got a takedown. Lima got back to his feet. And throughout this fight with the takedowns, Lima was grabbing the fence multiple times. And in the final exchange, or the final grappling sequence, not even exchange, they were grappling up against the fence. And Lima grabbed the fence multiple times after he had already been warned, if you grab the fence again, you will be deducted a point. I do believe Tyone stopped the fight when he said time, which he did a horrible job, but we'll get to that in a second. Because he kind of did a good job after that. When he said time and he stopped the fight, I think he was stopping it because of the fence grabs. But then he saw, when Lima pointed to his, like, underneath his bicep, he saw a bite mark, teeth marks. Then he kind of changed course and ended up DQing Severino. But I think initially it was because of the fence grabs. So while I'm not defending I'm not defending Severino biting Lima, I'm sick of these fence grabs, man. At one point he was on the ground on his back, reached up and pulled on the fence like to pull himself up. When he's getting taken down right before the bite, he's holding onto the fence, which may have stopped him from getting taken down. So while it's incredibly weird for Lima or for Severino to bite him, and also Lima was face against the fence. They were in a clinch. He had like a body lock position, and his mouth was on like the back side of the bicep. He was also grabbing his cock and balls while he's biting him. So I don't know what kind of shit Severino's into. And then to top it all off, so he gets DQ'd. Fair enough. I think Tyone made the right decision to DQ Severino. But to top it all off, when this is all going on, and the initial stop in action, Tyone's like, time, time, time. He's standing 20 feet away from him. That's an exaggeration. He's standing 5 feet away from him, screaming time, when nobody's even looking at him. They're both facing the fence. And then he's like almost kind of angry with them. They didn't stop soon enough until he finally jumps in and touches them. So horrible decision-making by Tyone, but then he kind of corrected it by, instead of addressing the fence grabs, he addressed biting by Severino, who was then cut from the organization. And one last thing I want to touch on. Everyone's having a good laugh, and they're sharing around. Let me see if I can pull up this picture real quick. I saved it, and I'll put it on screen if I have it, which I do. Severino, or not Severino, Lima's getting an extra bonus from Dana White because he got it. He said, you're getting a bite bonus, which was $25K. Lima went out and got a tattoo that says, I got a fucking bit bonus with the tattoo of the bite mark, which I'll put it on the screen. And everyone's laughing, everyone's chuckling. First off, it's a dumbass tattoo to begin with. But that's not the point. That's not what I'm getting at here. It should have an E on the end. It should be a bite bonus, not a bit bonus. Not a bit bonus. Nobody's pointing out that it needs an E. How did he not notice that? How did his coaches or whoever was with him getting the tattoo not notice that? And how did the tattoo artist not notice that? I got a bit bonus. So already it's a dumb tattoo and now you're misspelling a dumb tattoo. But either way, Severino would have been on my cuts list, but he's already cut according to Dana White in the UFC. There's no excuse. The bite was super deep. There was crazy teeth marks. And he's grabbing the cock and balls while he's biting him. What the hell is wrong with Severino at 20 years old? Now he's being cut from the organization. He was undefeated. Now he's taken his first loss via TQ, and we'll probably never see him again. Moving up on the card, Montserrat Rendon versus, I'm going to butcher this name, I know it, Daria Zheleznyakova, I think is how you pronounce it. People are going to disagree with me with this because of the commentary and the general online consensus. Rendon got brutally robbed. And I already know what you're going to say down in the comments. Control time with no striking doesn't win you fights. Commentary team was biased. Pretty much everyone was biased in this fight. If you subtract all the grappling from this fight, and this was, I hate to compare such a low-level shit stain of a fight like this to a high-level amazing fight, but in a way this fight's similar to Volkanovski versus Makhachev. I know, but bear with me here for a second. Okay? If you subtract all the grappling from this fight, Rendon still won. She still won. I actually scored 30-27 for her. 30-27. The narrative coming in this fight, and it was the same thing with Volkanovski Islam. Islam won on the feet, and people complained he didn't do any damage on the ground. He didn't need to do any damage on the ground, but have control time, which he did do a little bit of damage on the ground, because he outstruck him. So even if you get rid of the grappling, he still won on damage. But what happened is everyone, including the commentary, came into this fight with, Zheleznyakova has the better striking, which is true. On paper, she does have the better striking. But she was getting outstruck. First round was close. Striking was razor close. Okay, the first round. And then Rendon had a couple takedowns. 2 takedowns, I believe. First one, she got up. Second time, she got a little control time, a little bit of damage. So even striking, you have to go to the next criteria, which could have been control time. Okay, Rendon wins. The second round, Rendon was literally outclassing her, busting her up with jabs, and had a late takedown, and you had multiple fence grabs from Zheleznyakova, okay? You had multiple fence grabs in the second round. If you scored round 2 for Daria Zheleznyakova, you either didn't pay attention to the fight or you were mentally ill, okay? So round 2, easily Rendon. Round 3, Zheleznyakova is literally just throwing spinning stuff nonstop, losing on the feet, and then Rendon had clinch control. It was close on the feet. But if it's close on the feet, I also think Rendon was landing the better shots. She's literally chasing her down and punching her. Super low level, super ugly, no technical ability at all. She was landing the better shots. She was robbed in this fight, and I know it's a low-level fight that nobody cares about. But people think just because she did nothing with the grappling, she did very little with the takedown, she did very little with the clinch, that doesn't exclude the fact that she was winning on the feet. And I hate to pull out this argument because most of the time it doesn't apply. If you think Zheleznyakova did more damage, look at their faces after the fight. Look at their faces. Zheleznyakova was busted up and battered. Rendon didn't have a scratch on her. And I know that's not always the case. But go back and watch this fight. Zheleznyakova not landing much at all. And in the rounds she did, which was 1 and 3, I mean, it was close. It was razor close in those rounds in the striking. But you also had control time. You have to go to octagon control. So in round 2, it's not even, I mean, you're delusional if you don't score round 2 for Rendon. She literally outstruck her badly, busted her up badly, and had control time. So I think this was a robbery. No one's going to care because it's super low level, and I understand that. But at the same time, these are the same judges scoring other fights. So they're going to screw us in a big fight. Moving up on the card, we have Stephen Nguyen versus Jarno Errens. Jarno Errens beat the dog shit out of Stephen Nguyen. I mean, he just destroyed him. Nguyen was winning early, landing some good leg kicks for the first minute, and then Errens just started turning up, ripping leg kicks, ripping body shots. He was hitting a right to the body and then hitting a right upstairs, landing uppercuts nonstop in the first round. And, Yeah, it was Errens' first round, and then basically the rest of the fight was a similar thing. Nguyen started to come back a little bit in the third round, I think it was. But it was only because Errens was just kind of stalling out the fight, lateral movement, kind of not really trying to fight that much in the third round. But Errens just looked gritty. I mean, he looked much improved. I'd never seen Errens really look that good ever in a fight. And he was just piecing up Nguyen and just battering the legs. The legs of Nguyen were completely just compromised. If Joe Rogan was there, he would have been like, that leg's compromised. It was battered badly. And that's really what won him the fight. Nguyen had a couple decent jabs and was busting up Errens, was landing some good shots as well. But Errens was just throwing far more volume and landing good power shots. And he was mixing everything up, chopping the legs, landing shots to the body with punches, landing uppercuts, landing big right hands. I think he hurt him. I think it was in the second round. Yeah, it was in the second round. In the second round, Nguyen got rocked badly. It was at the tail end of the round and basically saved by the bell. But outside of that, I mean, just got completely outclassed. The highlight of this fight actually was a decent prelim. The prelims weren't that good. Was somebody, I guess in the corners, it seemed like it might have been Say Saud, one of the coaches, that's what somebody suggested to me, screamed like in between, right before they cut to a commercial, these guys are ruining my fucking day. Which I was laughing my ass off. So I don't know if it's because his fighter was losing. I don't even know if there's any accuracy to that. But that was the highlight of the fight. Even though it was a good fight, that was actually absolutely hilarious. But Jarno Errens, I thought he was going to have to use the grappling to win this fight. And he's out striking him out, kickboxing him, rocking him, landing uppercuts, busting him up, smashing his leg. I mean, the leg kicks were absolutely brutal, and Nguyen couldn't fight out of the opposite stance. So once that leg was compromised, he was really screwed. Third round, Nguyen tried to win. No pun intended. Was pressuring him hard, was landing some decent shots. But basically, same thing. I think I had a 30-20. Yeah, I did have a 30-27 for Errens. Third round was a little hard to watch because Errens was just kind of coasting and just kind of avoiding the fight. But then towards the end, he did sling, throw down with him. But overall, Stephen Nguyen just got outclassed in this fight. Just got outstruck, and there was very little grappling. I think actually Nguyen got a takedown in the first round early, but then got back up and really didn't do anything with it. Moving up on the card, we have Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson. I mean, this fight, Miles Johns gets it done 30-27, and basically it was just Gibson. I mean, he didn't look as good as he looked on The Ultimate Fighter at all. I mean, against Brad Katona, he looked leaps and bounds better. Basically Gibson would just fall down like he was drunk and then get controlled, you know. Gibson had a couple good knees in the first round in the clinch to the head. Johns was gassed by the third round, but Gibson couldn't do anything with it. Johns was just shooting takedowns and controlling him and landing better shots, landing right hands. He would catch a kick, start landing right hands. Gibson would initiate the grappling, even though he clearly didn't have a grappling advantage. The second round, Gibson, I think it was John shot in on a single leg and then Gibson ended up getting the back. Or no, I think it was Gibson shot in on a single leg, fought hard for it, got him down. Johns got up and tried to scramble to his feet too fast, and then Gibson jumped on his back, started looking for a rear naked choke, but Johns ended up reversing out and ended up on top. So, you know, it was just Johns outclass. Like, I hate to say outclassing him because that's when you really have an amazing performance, but Miles John was just clearly a better fighter. He was landing on the feet, landing those right hands. Even when Gibson would like catch a kick, you know, Johns would just slam right hands in and had good balance and athleticism. Gibson wasn't landing at all for the most part. You know, the volume he was throwing was kind of missing. He looked drunk out there. He looked horrible out there. And Johns controlled him in the clinch, controlled him on the ground, and was landing bigger shots on the feet and got it done 30-27. Moving up on the card. I believe this is the first fight on the main card. No, this is actually a prelim still. Julian Erosa versus Ricardo Ramos. Ramos is an idiot, man. No fight IQ. Ramos hurt him badly early. Erosa looked like he was done. Erosa clinched. And then Ramos took him down. Landed some decent elbows on the ground. And then eventually gets back up because Erosa pushes off of him. Ramos lands a spinning elbow that lands flush. And then shoots a sloppy takedown right into a guillotine and gets guillotined. And was bleeding badly. So something must have clipped him on the feet right before that. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, man. It was a shot. It was the sloppiest shot. Left his neck right there. And then I felt like he could have gone to side control because he knew the guillotine was in. And he had nothing. He just ended up right in full guard. Erosa locks him down, squeezes. Ramos stands up. It looks like his head might squeeze out for a second. Erosa just hangs onto it tight and finishes him. So Erosa needed that. He got chinned badly in his last two fights. And it looked like Ramos was going to chin him. hurt him badly early. I mean, like the first exchange rocked him horribly. And Erosa survives. Horrible fight IQ from Ramos. I don't know why. Like, what are these fighters doing when they hurt a guy badly on the feet and then they just, oh, let me take him down because he clinched? No, disengage and look for a finish on the feet. And Ramos literally just got guillotined in his last fight against, I think, Charles Jourdain. I mean, is this guy just jumping into guillotines for the hell of it and he thinks he can get out of them? Because look, against Charles Jourdain, he was in a guillotine early off a takedown, got out of it, and then went right back into that same position over and over and over again, gets guillotined. So Ramos has no fight IQ and gets submitted in the first round against Julian Erosa. Moving up on the card, we have Trey Ogden versus Kurt Holobaugh. Oh my God, what a bad fight this was. Trey Ogden gets it done, unanimous decision. I believe it was all 30-27. I mean, it should have been 30-27. Basically, Ogden got takedowns, stayed in half guard the entire round, and landed ground and pound every single round. Second round, he actually did some decent ground and pound. He had a Dagestani handcuff where he reached around the back, grabbed the arm, trapped the arm, and was landing good ground and pound. So it could have been a second round 10-8. And then Holobaugh was pressuring in the third, looking like, okay, I need a finish here. Gets taken down and controlled again. Had nothing on the ground. I could not believe it. Had absolutely nothing to offer on the ground against Trey Ogden. So, Kurt Holobaugh, he won the Ultimate Fighter, right? That's crazy. Holobaugh won the Ultimate Fighter if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not mistaken right now. Let me actually check this real quick. I'm pretty sure he's the Ultimate Fighter winner. Yeah, he beat Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard, yeah. Won the Ultimate Fighter at 37 years old. That's how bad the Ultimate Fighter has gotten nowadays. And Trey Ogden's literally just dominating him from half guard. I think he only tried one submission attempt. Towards the end of the third round, ended up in full mount. Couldn't get the submission attempt. They were talking shit to each other. Holobaugh would just like triangle one of the legs of Trey Ogden as he's in half guard, and he was just more than content staying in half guard. Horrible fight, boring fight, and Trey Ogden dominated him. Moving up on the card, the first fight on the main card, Fernanda Padilla versus Luis Pajuelo, I think is how you pronounce it. Fernando Padilla gets a first round Darce choke, absolutely destroyed him. And when I looked at this fight, I knew that Padilla was the far more technical striker. I mean, Pajuelo is just a savage who just sprints forward and looks to just beat the dog crap out of you. And Padilla was just lighting him up on the feet, landing elbows, jabs, teeps to the body, landing nasty leg kicks. Padilla dropped him with the left hand, started smashing him on the ground with hammer fists and elbows. And it honestly could have been stopped. He was smashing him badly, but the ref let him. He was kind of moving, let him survive. And then as he gets up, he ends up getting locked in a Darce choke. And Padilla gets it done. Great performance from Padilla against, when you watch Pajuelo, when I watch some of his fight footage, and by the way, thank God, I did horrible in the prelims. I only got one fight right on the prelims. But luckily, the main card saved me. I got a main card sweep. Thank God for that. Thank you to the MMA gods for that. So I didn't get the worst picks ever. I was like, oh my God, after the prelims. But Padilla outstruck him. Pajuelo is just too aggressive. And if you watched him, in some of his amateur fights, he's amateurish. Not even amateur fights, on some of his regional fights, wherever he was at before this. He was amateurish, and he would just break dude's will and just press forward. Padilla beat the brakes off of him. Pajuelo landed a couple good leg kicks, landed a few good punches, but Padilla kept the distance, was using those teeps to keep the distance, and just rocked him badly on the feet to the point he could never recover, and ended up finding the Darce choke. Good performance from Padilla. Moving up on the card, Billy Quarantillo versus Youssef Zalal, which is one of my best picks on the card. Thank God for that. Youssef Zalal wins via second round rear naked choke. And Zalal, I talked about it in my prediction video. He was fighting at the Kentucky State Fair before this. I know he was in the UFC before. Last few fights, basically at the Kentucky State Fair, $200 in a funnel cake, okay? He went out there and literally outclassed Billy Q. That's the proper use of that term. First round, Zalal was dominating him on the feet, hurting him on the feet, got a takedown, took his back, looked for the rear naked choke, rocked him with the knee early in the first round as well. And then the second round, Zalal landed on the feet again, gets an easy takedown, literally was like just grabbing him and tripping him to the ground. Got an easy takedown, got the back, found a rear naked choke immediately. Billy Q, I know a lot of people hype him up, and I even looked on Tapology, 73% picked him. He's kind of just known for his cardio and durability. He's not that good. And Youssef Zalal is a guy who had a competitive fight with Ilia Topuria. And while I don't believe in elevating guys off of losses, there's at least something to note from that performance. And also you see some of his other performance against these Kentucky State Fair, fighters. He's dominating them and destroying them, and he's looking decent doing it. And I know they're shit fighters, but the fact that he's just beating the brakes off them, making buzzsaw and through them, I'm like, you know what? I'm going Youssef Zalal on this one. I took him via decision because how durable Billy Q is and the fact he's never been submitted. But Zalal made quick and easy work of him. Had a decent post-fight interview as well. I think Zalal has a bright future. He's still young. I think sometimes getting cut from the UFC is a blessing in disguise because you can go outside the UFC, get some experience, and you're not fighting absolute killers every single time, and you get some experience, come back. I mean, he beat the brakes off of Billy Q and finished him for the first time, So, got a rear naked choke in the second round. Zalal absolutely dominated Billy Q. Looked great on the feet, explosive on the feet. His cardio's always been good. Showed excellent grappling, excellent takedowns. And I can't wait to see where Youssef Zalal goes from here. Great fight, great performance from Youssef Zalal. Moving up on the card, we have Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Simon. Or Seaman. Or Seaman, whatever the hell it is. I think it's Seaman. Peyton Talbot beat the brakes off of Cameron Simon. Or Seaman. Oh my God, I don't know his name anymore. I think it's Cameron Seaman. Cameron Seaman, okay. By the way, guys, do me a favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. I wanted to do it before UFC 300, but the 3-year anniversary of the channel is April 1st. We have like 10 days left. I would love to get to 20K. So if you guys could subscribe, if you're not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. But Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Simon. Whatever. Talbot beat the brakes off him, was beating him down bad, walking forward, landing good shots, landing good kicks, stepping knees, hurt him with a stepping knee at one point. I thought he was going to finish him. I thought he KO'd him, honestly, with the knee. It just perfectly timed as Seaman was looking kind of for a takedown. Was ripping body shots with punches. There was a groin shot late in the round, and Talbot didn't want any time off because he was really putting the pace on Seaman. And, I mean, it wouldn't be a Cameron Seaman fight without a groin shot, basically. So, or without a foul. I mean, he cheats in every single fight. But beat the brakes off of him, was catching kicks, just slaughtering him on the feet, hurt him badly multiple times. First round was a 10-8 round. Second round, Talbot comes out, drops him with the left hand, and just absolutely wrecks him with follow-up shots. And there was multiple times I thought it could have been stopped and then Cameron Seaman's trying to kind of scramble out a little bit, and the ref finally stops it. It was a bit of a weird moment where he chose to stop it, but I think it was a perfect stoppage, to be quite honest. He could have stopped it a little bit earlier. I know some people were saying early stoppage because he was getting up. He was getting smashed on the ground. He took a lot of damage. He had really nothing to offer. There were some, big shots he threw, but he never really landed clean with any real crazy shots. And the shots that he did land, Talbot just walked right through them. The body kicks that he landed, Talbot would catch them. And, it was just a master class from Talbot. I know there's a lot of hype behind Talbot. I picked him to win this fight. I thought he'd win via decision. I think the hype's going to get a little bit overblown from this performance. I mean, Cameron Seaman hasn't really beat anyone that good. Lost to Christian Rodriguez in his last fight, but Rodriguez did miss weight. But Talbot went out there. Striking looked incredible. The power differential. It was basically a crazy striking skill differential and a crazy power differential as well. Every time Talbot landed, it affected Seaman. So I think it was a great win from Peyton Talbot. I can't wait to see who he fights next. Apparently, somebody posted he's calling out Dominic Cruz. That's a little bit crazy. Plus, Dominic Cruz is sitting on the sidelines. But Peyton Talbot with an absolute beatdown of Cameron Seaman or Simon. I can't remember now. I don't know why I'm forgetting. He's been around forever. But Talbot gets the win. Utter destruction. Second round TKO. Perfectly fine with the stoppage. If anything, a little bit late. Moving up on the card, the featured fight on the card, we have Edmund Shabazian versus AJ Dobson. I really thought AJ Dobson was about to smash Edmund Shabazian. Not that I picked him, but after watching those first exchanges, AJ Dobson was landing early, was looking fast, rocked Edmund Shabazian. Shabazian shot on a takedown, got a takedown, but then got reversed, ended up on bottom, eat some ground and pound, made it to the fence, eventually got up. Edmund looked for another takedown, ended up almost on the bottom again, but scrambled back up. They ended up in the clinch. Then they got back to striking. And what I forgot to point out is when Edmund got hurt early, and basically he rocked him early, and then after he rocked him, I think he landed a left hand, then a knee. And then he just stood there looking at him. He's just standing there looking at him. He just stood there. I was like, what are you doing? Look for the finish. What are you doing? He's jelly-legged. By the way, I think it's Cameron Simon. I think I'm saying it wrong. I think it's Cameron Simon. I think I was right initially. It's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. right now. I'm doing this post-fight. My brain's a little bit mush. But Dobson just let him recover. Hurt him badly, let him recover. I don't get it. So eventually there was the grappling exchanges. They end up back on their feet. And Shabazian lands what I think was a left hand. It didn't really land clean. It just looked like it landed like the side of the fist to the side of the head. It didn't really look like it should have hurt him. When I watched it back, I'm like, how'd that hurt him? But I guess it hurt him. He fell backwards. And then basically Edmund Shabazian jumped on him, landed some brutal ground and pound, and got the fight stopped. I mean, he got knocked out a couple times on the ground. It was a late stoppage, if anything. Nasty elbows, nasty ground and pound, and finishes AJ Dobson in the first round. Edmund Shabazian gets it done. I really thought, oh no, when the rubber meets the road, Edmund Shabazian starts to gas out. And Dobson was looking fast on the feet, and he looked like he had a bit of an advantage in the grappling early. But I think Dobson's going to be kicking himself when he goes back and rewatches this. Hurt him badly. Jelly-legged, walking backwards. And Dobson doesn't capitalize at all. Absolute craziness in my opinion. Edmund Shabazian gets it done. First round ground and pound TKO. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, we have Carl Williams versus Justin Tafa. The Tafa brothers have no grappling. I don't think they train grappling. I'm genuinely beginning to think all they do is drink and maybe spar occasionally and crack up a couple jokes. That's basically it. I'm not convinced these guys are training at all. Some of these heavyweights, and I know people laugh, oh, Joey, look at you and you're criticizing them. I don't claim to be an elite level athlete. I'm not supposed to be an elite competitor in the UFC. These low-level heavyweight fights are garbage. They should have never made it as co-main event. But anyway, first round, Tafa clipped him, hurt him a little bit. Williams easily takes him down. Controlled him for a bit, had him up against the fence, got him back. I think Tafa got up a couple times, got taken back down, got up a couple times. The way he was getting taken down, he was falling like hilariously. Like he would just fall flat on his ass like he was doing some type of like wrestling move or something. And towards the end of the first round, Tafa threw an illegal up kick, which he was not penalized for at all. And Herb Dean's like, yeah, keep going, guys. It's just complete bullshit. I don't care what anyone says. Bullshit. Should have been deducted a point for that. Second round, Tafa landed some body kicks. Throws and landed a couple punches as well. Throws a head kick, gets taken down, and dominated on the ground. Dead center of the cage as soon as he got taken down. Why is he throwing a head kick when he has no takedown defense or no cardio? Gets controlled, gets beat up on the ground. Nothing crazy, but clearly lost the second round. And then the third round, Tafa was landing early, but gets taken down again. Literally looked like a sack of shit on the ground. Just went down like a sack of potatoes. The way he was laying was hilarious. The way he was falling was hilarious. Carl Williams was completely gassed, laying on top of him, doing a little bit of damage. He worked back up with 1 minute. Carl Williams looks like he's about to have a heart attack, Dada 5000 stop. Completely gassed. Carl Williams is looking over at the clock. There's 1 minute left. Tafa just kind of rushes in. Kind of has a moment where he lands a couple shots, empties the gas tank. Williams gets in on a takedown. Tafa's just throwing like power shots as he's being double-legged, falls down hilarious, and just lays there. Just at one point, Carl Williams was postured up, throwing ground and pound, and Tafa was just laying there like he was sleeping, but he wasn't knocked out. He was just exhausted because he has no cardio and no grappling. So Carl Williams gets it done, out-grappling him to a decision. Moving up on the card to the main event, we have Amanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas. There were some people in my chat acting as if this was a robbery, which is completely egregious. There was somebody who tweeted out, I'm not going to find it, I'm not going to single him out, but it was on the broadcast, that said Ribas was up 3-0, and she was putting on a clinic or putting on a showcase performance, something along those lines. The only way you can convince me that he meant that was he was confused about which one was Ribas, and he thought Rose was Ribas. So the first round, Rose was landing the better shots. Ribas just punching at air, spinning occasionally, landed like one spinning kick to the body. Got a takedown, no control. Then eventually Ribas looked for another takedown and then got reversed, and Rose ended up controlling her and really doing nothing with it. Second round, basically same thing. Rose landed better shots on the feet, landing the harder shots. You had Ribas looking for takedowns again with judo throws, ended up on bottom. Looked for a leg lock attempt, and Rose ended up on top and ground and pounder, just baby ground and pound shots, but she was winning on the feet. Anyway, third round, Ribas got a takedown and got some control and did some damage. Won the third round. Fourth round, basically same thing as before. Rose landed the better shots, get a takedown and some ground and pound. And then the fifth round was just majority striking, and I thought Ribas won on volume, even though she was punching the majority air. So I did 3-2 Rose Namajunas, giving round 3 and round 5 to Ribas. So overall, honestly, my takeaways from the main event, I don't think either one of them looked good. I think it's an embarrassment to the top 10, that Ribas is even in the top 10. I don't think she's ranked number 8. I think Pat Barry has ruined Rose's career. She's in the wrong weight class. She looks like she's regressed significantly. She looks like she's completely washed up. She's walking out to elevator music screaming, "I'm the best." And Pat Barry's like, yeah, touch those pinkies. Dribble on her. Touch those pinkies. I mean, this guy's an idiot. And there's no Trevor Whitman anymore. I mean, Ribas, I think Ribas is super low level, to be honest. I know she's top 10. But I think she's super low level. Considering Rose was a champion at one point. I know in a different weight class, but she was a champion at one point. And I know Rose outstruck her. I know Rose kind of outgrappled her. But, I thought Rose really should have had a showcase performance against Ribas, who I'm not even sure when she trains, like hitting the heavy bag. I think she just punches the air next to the heavy bag. Because that's all she does every single fight is punch the air. And then after every round, she's throwing her arms up like the fight's over and she won. So some people were saying robbery. I couldn't even believe that in a million years. I think Rose clearly won this fight 3-2. Rounds 1, 2, and 4 are undeniable for Rose. People are saying Rose is laying in guard, not doing any damage. Subtract all the grappling. She won based on her striking. She was landing the better shots while Ribas was just swinging and hitting air. It was an embarrassment performance. But overall, I think Rose is washed up. I think Pat Barry's ruined her career. I think she needs to divorce Pat. This is all speculation, by the way. I have no true, we have anecdotal evidence to prove this, but I think without Trevor Whitman, I think she's a completely different fighter. And it seems like her head's not there, honestly. She's talking about, I want a rematch with Manon. Not going to happen ever. Fight Macy Barber, I guess. Which I think she might get out-muscled in that fight, even though I think Barber's not even that good. So Rose gets it done via unanimous decision. I think 2 judges gave her 4-1, which I don't hate. Round 5 was kind of garbage in general, so maybe you could give Rose round 5 as well. But there's my post-fight for UFC Vegas 89. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I want to hit 20K. Before April 1st would be amazing, but definitely before UFC 300. If you've been watching the recent videos that have blown up over, there's one up over 100K. There's another one that's almost to 100K. Appreciate you guys so much. Means the world to me. Thank you. And also, Carl Williams. I forgot this. We'll end this nugget in the end. Comment down below first off. Call the fire department. Somebody call the fire department. Comment that down below if you made it all the way to the end. Carl Williams started to call out Steven Miocic, and I was laughing my ass off because he said, yeah, he's over there working at the fire department. I'm like, is Carl Williams watching the channel? And then he challenged Stipe to basically like a barbecue cook-off or something like that. Like, yeah, your fire department versus me and my crew. We're going to barbecue cookout. So kind of a hilarious call out considering Stipe's just been answering phones at the fire department for the last 4 years. But that was it. That's it for UFC Vegas 89. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.